Well, I don't know if you've downloaded the app Temu. It's an app that allows you to buy really a huge amount of products across a massive range. If you haven't downloaded it, it's likely that younger people in your family have. One of the key things that it does is basically allows you to almost play games while you're shopping online. That means shopping online actually becomes fun rather than, what it's normally like. Jon Cherry is a business strategist. He's been looking at this. Jon, good afternoon to you. So I must say, I'm not a great shopper, never mind an online shopper, but it's pretty boring online. How does Temu work? What makes it different?
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, so this is a very interesting new app which has emerged in the last couple of years. It launched in South Africa in January this year and is already the #1 most downloaded app in South Africa. The idea is that, yes, it looks like an e-commerce platform where you can buy quite cheap goods, and as you say, the range is pretty impressive. But really what they've done incredibly well is that they've created a gamification of e-commerce which keeps people on the app for quite a long time. And the longer you spend on the app, the more chances there are of you spending more and more money. I think what's also interesting about their approach is that buying off this app is not necessarily like buying off a Take-A-Lot or a Yuppie Chef. It's not like you are counting your pennies as you add more things into the basket. The way that they've designed it is that spending money then becomes quite fun. Psychologically, they're almost disassociating the spending of money with the buying of things. So the buying of things actually becomes a bit of a game where you get a dopamine hit, as you would if you were playing a game like Candy Crush or something like that. So strategically, I think it's a very, very interesting new way of interpreting e-commerce and presenting e-commerce to a region.
I mean, in my lifetime, you would get cash at the end of the week or end of the month in a little brown envelope, and that cash had to get you through the month or the week. You would go shopping and you would literally count it out. You'd know how much you have left. Then we had where you tap a card. You don't really realize how much money is actually going out of your account psychologically. This is even worse than that. It's making spending money fun. You lose count of how much you're spending.
Right. So I've had a look at the actual experience of the app myself, and what amazed me is that a lot of the casino playbook is included in the experience here. So they're actual little games where they give you credits, which you can then carry on using to spend on the app. And that happens intermittently, so you don't have to achieve anything in particular in order to get credits. They just kind of pop up. So I think that's exactly it. What they've done is that they've very successfully removed the idea, the pain of spending money from the experience. And exactly as you say with credit cards, once you're not necessarily handing over cash, it changes the psychology of the transaction. And that's where I think Temu has done well. The other thing which is interesting is that many, many years ago there was a site called Alibaba. And Alibaba was great because it gave you direct access to merchants in China, and you could buy items from those merchants. The problem is that the quality of what you would source from Alibaba varied considerably. What Temu is doing very successfully is that they're almost democratizing success for all of the merchants in China. So by not necessarily going out and buying brands, what you're doing is that you're just finding bargains. And in so many ways, that's who their client is. The client is not the person who they're sending goods to. The client is the merchant who's sitting in China. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that all of them collectively are successful. So in so many ways, from a strategic point of view, that's a very difficult value chain to compete against if you're a South African e-commerce player trying to work out, right, what's our response to this threat? I think in just so many ways, it's the culmination of culture, the way that we shop and the way that we share information via social media, along with technology, which enables this ecosystem to exist, and then obviously the logistics systems that get those products from China directly to customers here in South Africa. So that is a very, very difficult thing to try and crack for us. But even in the United States, their response has been to bring about legislation to try and control this innovation. But, good luck to them, because these companies move much quicker than regulators. So it really is a new era in consumerism, and I think it's the first of many apps which we're going to see around the world.
Is there something about our market that makes us attractive? Are we particularly vulnerable to any potential abuse here?
I don't think, necessarily there's a particular thing about South Africa. I think these companies are looking for growth. Understandably, on the world stage, Africa as a continent holds huge opportunity for commercial growth. Understandably, there are challenges, but a lot of these companies have very deep pockets. So what they want to do is they want to start building a brand within a viable region within South Africa and starting to test their models here. South Africa obviously is the logical place to do that because we're the most advanced, our infrastructure is the most advanced in the continent. But once they've understood how to crack South Africa, then they can roll it out in similar geographies across the continent. But, we've seen similar things happen in North America and in the UK, which are also open to exploitation because they have the disposable income in those regions. So you bring in something which is hinged on very, very clever strategy into North America, you're going to do well. And I think that's what's been proven with the model that they have. I mean, they're spending an awful lot of money on advertising and pretty much crowding out the local markets. Even Amazon is starting to struggle to outbid the holding company for some of the prime spots over there. So, yeah, this is a scorched earth kind of strategy, which sounds alarmist. I'm not trying to be alarmist, but I think it is a very aggressive sales mechanic which they've employed, which I think works very well as long as they can keep regulators away. But when the regulators do come in, obviously they'll shift and innovate when that happens.
I mean, a year ago, 2 years ago, we were all talking about Shein. Is this going to eat Shein's lunch? And there's something funny about that.
It is already. So I think already Shein is struggling against Temu because they're undercutting even Shein. So the prices are more compelling than what they're offering. And I think what Shein doesn't necessarily do well is that they don't do that gamification process well. So Shein is still kind of presented as e-commerce. It's still competing against the fast fashion retailers in North America and in Europe. This is not an e-commerce play. This is a gaming play. And in the article that I posted on the Daily Maverick, my argument is that this thing is more alike to Fortnite than what it is to Amazon. So understanding that framing difference then, and understanding the ability of this company to scale, it's almost impossible to stop them. Because they're able to just turn on opportunity where it presents itself based on the data which they're mining from the people that are using the app. So this really is technology and culture coming together in a perfect storm where a company like this for the foreseeable future is going to do very, very well.
Jon Cherry, the business strategist, thank you very much indeed. Really do appreciate the time.